G'day, Rabbi.
Hey, Jake. Man, I haven't put up the video yet, but I'm going to put it up. No, but I just don't want my channel to get taken down. My friend Jake here killed a chicken. He slaughtered a chicken on camera for me because I asked him to do it, but he does these things for fun, the pastime.
Yeah, that's it. I killed a sheep. I told you I killed a sheep as well, yeah?
Yeah. And the rabbi freaked out when you shook his hand and you had like blood and feathers all over your hands. Yeah.
That's it. Yeah, I got a question for you.
Nice.
It's a high. As far as like someone who understands Torah, converting and everything like that, what are your thoughts on someone who then says, "Okay, I understand Torah, I understand the rules and regulations that God has set, but I'm deciding not to continue with it." What are your thoughts on that?
Here you go.
To say that's it. I'm not going to do Shabbat anymore. I'm not going to eat. I'm going to eat pork. I'm going to eat. Do all these things. Look, sure, you can honor God and everything in the way that you want to do it, but what is your understanding on someone who says, I'm going to pull the pin on this? Not saying that I'm going to do it, but just as a hypothetical.
Anyone who goes from a higher ethical level to a lower ethical level is a fool, okay? And I'm not the only one saying this. The Rambam says the exact same thing in Hilchot Melachim. He says that anyone who commits himself to circumcise himself to convert, and he waits 12 months and he still hasn't circumcised himself, it says that he's considered like a heretic amongst the nations. There's nothing worse than wasted potential. If you're convinced something is true, how are you going to let some rabbi unconvince you and say, oh, well, even though you know it's true, you don't have to keep this. That you can go back even from an ethical perspective, because they're technically not just telling you that you don't have to put on tefillin and you don't have to keep Yom Kippur. They're also telling you that you don't have to honor your parents. They're also telling you that you can lie. They're also telling you that you don't have to adhere to the Torah standards, to the Jew standards of sexual immorality.
I guess what I'm more saying is like someone who decides to say, look, I understand that is God and I understand immorality and all these sorts of things, but I want to take away, I want to go back to my normal life where I work on Shabbat.
So you're worshiping a different God.
Okay.
The only way you worship God is by keeping his commandments. That's it. That's the only way you worship God. Now, you could remain a docile Gentile. Like, okay, act like you don't know. And then if there was another proper resurrection of biblical Israel, like you'd be allowed to live amongst Israel, but you won't have any special spiritual status. You'll just be allowed to reside in the land. I don't know
so why. Considered more idolatry, sort of what you're saying, yeah? The
basis of idolatry is wasted potential. Wasting your time is why idolatry is so bad. I mean, who gives a crap if someone that worships a statue? The problem with worshiping a statue is that you could be worshiping God while you're doing that. But all we have is, if we're lucky, 70 years on this planet. God willing, everyone should live up to 120, but like the way we eat, I don't see that happening. With all the discouraging that happens in the Jewish world today, like you could imagine if there was another Har Sinai, that the rabbis would actually be there discouraging people on Mount Sinai, saying, why would you want to accept all these commandments when you could just live as a Gentile? The Hebrews on Mount Sinai might as well have been Gentile because they haven't accepted the Torah yet. Now, this is not the attitude we see with God in the Torah. Being that the Rambam says we have to emulate God, God was encouraging the mixed multitude and the Hebrews on Mount Sinai to accept Torah. It says in Parashat Ra'eh, like he's telling you, choose life. These commandments bring life, and by not accepting Torah, you'd be choosing a life of cursing and death. What's this whole notion that someone could be convinced that the Torah is true and at the same time continue living like a complete Gentile? Now, however, here, look, if you don't live in a Jewish community, okay, you still have to be able to walk before you can run. If someone tells me I'm only able to keep Torah from a Torah perspective and not from a rabbinic perspective, that's better than nothing, okay? And that's actually a principle that people never teach. If you're not able to keep a mitzvah from a rabbinic perspective, you should still make an attempt to keep it from a Torah perspective. And if you don't know what I mean, just read the Mishneh Torah straight through. Like the Rambam will say that this is the Torah requirement, this is a rabbinic requirement. But nowadays, the way these fanatics teach it is that if you can't keep it from a rabbinic perspective, it's better not to keep it at all. So that shows that you're elevating man over God here. Torah is the basis, the Torah is the goal. The rabbis are laying down is ultimately offense. Now, yes, Parashat Shoftim says, Lo tasur, don't stray from what they teach you, but only because you're not able to keep it in the rabbinic fashion. For example, the Rambam says that any body of water constitutes a mikvah. But he says, according to Chazal, you need what's called 40 sah. Some people say 180 gallons. Some people say 400 gallons. If you're telling me that if you don't have the proper requirements to make a rabbinic mikvah, that you shouldn't go to the mikvah at all, Of course, you should still go to the mikveh. Fulfill your Torah obligation if you can fulfill the rabbinic one. But don't say that if I'm not able to keep it in the best way, lechatchila, in the best possible way, that I shouldn't keep it at all.
Encouragement. I don't need encouragement. I'm pretty good. But thanks anyway.
Don't give up, Jake, man. Don't give up.
No.
I don't want to see you prancing around with fishnet stockings and you know what I mean.
So Melbourne, man. Anything's possible there, bro.
All right. Just,
hey, I've got another one as well.